Hey guys, before we jump into this interview that we have here on this episode of Creators Anonymous, I do want to let you guys know that my guest was actually experiencing some internet and connection issues, so he does tend to lag in and out sometimes, but stick with it. Most of the audio is clear and, he has a lot of insight into the industry. So, just go ahead and stick with it. I really do appreciate it. But it's a great interview nonetheless. And I really want to thank you guys for tuning in. So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creators Anonymous. This is episode part two. We're here with Enrique Hidalgo, and he's joining us on the podcast where we show all different aspects of the media industry, production industry, and that there's not just one set path to get to your goal. You can come out of nowhere and do anything. How are you doing today, Enrique?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. If you guys don't know, Enrique and I go way back. He used to live here down in Miami as well, and now he's on the West Coast. He's over in Oregon, and he's doing his thing in the media industry, and he's really working hard, and I'm really proud of him.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Means a lot, man.
no, of course. But I wanted to have him here on the podcast today because he really is someone that I've known for quite a long time, and he's essentially in the same industry as I am, and he's a perfect example of look, he went across the country, and it's not just about just staying in one place. It's about setting your path and really going for it. And he's not only a musician, but he's also he works in visual effects, and he works in videography. He's done work in advertisements and everything, but we'll get into that throughout this podcast. Enrique, why don't you just give us a little background in to not only what you're doing now, but also where you started.
Sure. We do go way back, don't we? Um, Anyways, where I got started, I went to G. Holmes Braddock High School down in Miami. Go Bulldogs. And then I went to Florida International University. I started out in TV production in high school, believe it or not. I kind of knew back then that I wanted to do production, that I wanted to create things. So that was my focus. I wanted to study film, but it was not a degree that was available to me at Florida International. So I went with another option, which was advertising, communications. But they kind of intersect. There was a lot that I learned in advertising that I applied to production. I learned to work in Adobe Creative Cloud. I learned Photoshop. I learned Premiere Pro. I had some semblance of how this stuff works, but I am a musician. I did play music, or I still do play with a band, Wilkes Oswald, for a number of years down in Miami. We toured Florida. We toured all the way to California at one point, which was, that was a really fun part of my life, and still is, because I'm still in touch with all these guys. We're still making music and stuff. And fresh out of university, I for a local production company down there, and I got started doing captions, doing videos for Amazon. Then I moved into their film department, and I started working on titles and credits, anything that I could get my hands on. And then after that is when I made my big move to Portland, Oregon, to the West Coast. My partner came out here for school, and I followed her. She was like, I worked remotely for some time for the company that I was working for down in Miami. But then I started, the pandemic hit. They kind of closed up shop for some time, and I was like, I need something else to do. So I started looking around here, and I found a VFX studio, visual effects studio out here in Portland, and that's where I've been working ever since. I also worked on a couple of feature-length films here, which was pretty fun. A lot of work, but pretty fun.
Are you able
And
to say which ones?
I'm not sure if I could say the name of the movie. It was for Netflix. It was shot here in Portland. So for you Google goons, just start Googling. Just start Googling and see what comes up. That's all what I'm gonna say for now. That was pretty fun. I was working footage and apply a color grade to it and send it off to editing. And it was just like it was a 2-man gig, and it was kind of 24/7 because they were shooting 12, 14-hour days, and someone had to always be there to receive footage and to send it out and process it. And it was an all-day thing. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but that's how this industry is, and I'm pretty passionate about it, and I'm grateful to have a job.
No, it sounds freaking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. I did do some Googling. I know you're working for Refuge right now, Refuge Visual Effects.
Yeah.
How's that going? You liking the gig, the company?
Yeah, I really like the environment. I really like the company. I like the people that I work for. I like the people that I work with. So I'm working as a VFX coordinator, which is a step down of sorts from a producer. I work directly with the producers in the studio, and I just do the day-to-day coordinating. I talk with the showrunners. I talk with the producers. I talk with the artists. I wrangle data. I get shots from them. I send them out. Set up meetings. Day-to-day stuff that needs to happen for these things to be finalized, for these for like VFX shots to be finalized. It's just a lot that goes on. I don't know how I could describe it in a short, quick way. But
No,
yeah.
you're doing great. You're doing great. And I know that they are long days. Sometimes you feel like you've been working like for 24 hours and stuff. It's nonstop. You know, have you had a a production or a contract yet that feels like you're on such a time crunch that you feel like you're not going to make it to the deadline?
Yeah, the feature length that I shot here in Portland, um, it was it was a 2-man gig, and at first it was cool. I mean, I was working overnights for half of it. It was okay, whatever. I'm doing it. Um, but then at one point, my partner got sent off to Los Angeles because the company that I was hired for, they lost somebody down there, and they're like, "Oh, this is like an SOS moment. You guys are about to finish. You guys are like 2 weeks away from wrapping up. So, how about we send your partner down to LA? And are you cool with just finishing up by yourself?" And I'm like, I mean, what was I gonna say? I'm like, I agree to it. I'm like, yeah, take them. I guess I guess I could handle the rest of it on my own. By that point, I was pretty fluid in the whole process. I learned it had already been going at it for like 3 months or something, 3-4 months. Um, and the thing is, this wouldn't have really happened if it weren't for the pandemic. Every time that we had, this was one of Netflix's like first feature lengths that they shot after the whole COVID thing happened. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of regulations in place to keep us all healthy and safe, and which I'm really like, it was good. Yeah, it felt good that they had all these like health and safety. But every time that there was like any sort of like scare on set, they would shut down production for like 7-10 days to make sure that nobody else has been affected for it. And that happened like 2 or 3 times, which really pushed back the wrap date. And that's when we ran into these like issues of, hey, we need this person to go down and stuff. And we were the last 2 weeks. The director decided to shoot like a ton of film towards those last 2 weeks. We were working with like 2 cameras at first, and then by the end we were like 4 cameras, 4 GoPros, like just shoot everything, every angle. And I'm like, shit, okay, let's do it. So it was a lot of like sleeping in the office, taking multiple lunches, breakfast, lunch, dinner at the office, just processing this footage day and night. It seemed like the days would just kind of roll into one another. And like they're already on set shooting, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get this footage over to you." I'm like, "Shit, I'm still working on the footage from the day before." So there was moments where I felt like I don't know what I'm gonna do, and and I need to get this process is really tedious and complex, but at the same time, it needs to be done at a certain it needs to be done constantly, because if all this footage isn't backed up on time, then they can't clear the cards on set, like they can't clear the camera memory cards on set, and then that whole backs up the whole production. And so like just having that onus on you, you're like, oh, shit, like I really need to get going, because I can't be the sole reason why like they're stalling on set. Like all these people are like, they got to keep going. So it was crazy. It was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, but we got through it. So it was cool. Once it wrapped, I slept forever. I slept. Yeah. Yeah.
I I can only imagine there's also like a level of like satisfaction when like you actually get out of that time crunch and you actually get that whole project done. I bet it's like a weight off your shoulders. Like, damn, dude, I did it. Like, I pulled through. I put
Yeah.
my head down and I just worked.
Yeah. It was like I looked at it, I had like the physical backups in front of me. I'm like, I did all that. Like that's a whole movie right there. Let me ship it off and I'm good. And it just so happened we wrapped the day before a snowstorm hit Portland. So like as I'm walking out of the office space that we were using, like the snow was starting to come down, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get home. And then we were snowed in for like a week, which was great. Like I didn't have to go to work, or there was no work for me anymore. I was done with work, but like I just had to stay home and just look at the nice snow outside, and it was awesome. Like yeah. When I finished, it was like, you're right. It was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and it felt amazing.
It was a movie ending for you. Like, the you finish the movie and then for you, like the
It,
snow starts coming down.
it really was. It
I
was poetic.
can you at least tell us if the movie is already out, like on Netflix?
Not yet. No, I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, now I'm gonna start cross-referencing dates and times and movie releases, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
circle one on a calendar. It's like this is the one. This is the one he worked on.
Yeah. It's music related, so that was cool. It's like it's all about like rock and roll and stuff. It's like a coming of age flick. So I mean, there's like there's articles out about it, I think. So I
Well,
just
if it's perfectly with you because you do have that music background and stuff. Um, and you were mentioning how you are still an active member in Wilkes Oswald, correct?
yeah.
And how does that work out? Because you're over there, they're over here. Are you guys having like Zoom call band practice or something?
Not quite, but pretty close. Thanks for the plug, by the way. I really
No problem.
So yeah, I came out here, and we were like, you know what, like there's no reason why we should stop making music. So I kept going at it. I have a drum set here, and I would just like we were still working on some songs at the time, like when I first moved out here. So um they would Sean, who's the one, the main producer of the band, he would send me tracks, and then I would play along to them. I would record them either like, well, I did record them all on MIDI, like MIDI drums, and then send him tracks back. Every time I flew back, we had like a recording session, so we laid down some tracks like that, and we released an album like that. So that's
That's
pretty cool.
dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. Yeah, no. Well,
And
better plug.
the,
Guys, if you haven't heard of Wilkes Oswald, Miami, Florida, amazing band. You guys will not be, disappointed. They're awesome. And it goes to show you that when you're a creative and you create any type of content, like, you go where the art is and you go with what you love. And, Enrique shows that, like, you love music, you love film, you make time for both of them even if you lack sleep and you're
yeah,
having to record across the country.
yeah. I mean, the pandemic, like we all had to adjust, and I had a drum set in my apartment, just not this apartment, another apartment at the time, like last year, and I was playing on an electric kit, which I didn't think was that loud, but I got a complaint from my downstairs neighbor because the pandemic had hit, so everybody was home. I don't know, can you whatever? And I was like, shit, like what am I gonna do? Now I can't even practice on this thing. So that's why I like pivoted towards like MIDI drums. Like just I had to let it out somehow. So I just started like playing on my keyboard, like my MIDI pad, and I laid down some tracks, and like now they're on an album. So that was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man. You gotta adapt. Yeah, everyone had
yeah,
to
you gotta
adapt at
adapt.
that
Yeah,
time, man.
yeah.
And you do what you gotta do. But Enrique, let's take you back. When did you really know that like you wanted to work with film or production in general?
Um, I would say middle school, high school. Yeah, middle school maybe is when I started like playing around with my mom's like VHS recorder, like camera recorder, or it was. I remember it was like old like little DVD tapes,
Oh,
little
they were
small ones, little
the
small
little
versions.
tapes.
Yeah, little DV tapes. Yeah, that's my mom had like a camcorder, and I started filming our good friend Demil and our other friend Andy, like doing like jackass impersonations and stuff around our neighborhood. So like they'd be the ones on camera doing the stuff, and I'd be the one behind the camera just filming. And I just kind of knew like this is what I want to do. I want to create. I want to film stuff. Like I want to, yeah. So in high school is when I joined the TV production, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. That's when I started writing skits and stuff in high school, which like I still have those skits. Like we watch them, but I was in that in TV production with like two of my band members from Wilkes Oswald, and like we watch the skits from time to time, and we just like it's funny to us. Like we're the only ones that get the jokes because we were there, but it's pretty funny. I would say middle school, high school is when I knew like this is sort of what I want to do.
No, I get you, man. Sometimes I'll watch back on the things that like I thought were funny at the time, and I'm watching them. I'm like, oh, this is still funny to me, but guaranteed no one else would find
Yeah,
this funny.
yeah,
Like I'm watching it, and I'm like, man, I put in probably half a day's of effort into this, into something that I really should never show anyone.
yeah, yeah. Like when we watch it, we're like laughing at ourselves, not really with us. Like we're like,
Yeah.
dude, we really did this, and we really put this on like the school news like channel and stuff for the whole school to watch and stuff. And we were so proud about it. We're like, yeah, that's us. That's us. Yeah.
Well, look, that pride, like, and that passion did lead you down to a career path.
Yeah.
It sparked something that kept going, and that's dope. That's awesome. What would you say was probably the most difficult part about getting like started in production in general?
Most difficult part. I mean, it's what they say about like any career nowadays is like it's not even that much about what you know, it's about who you know. So just getting that experience, that initial experience, so that you could put something on your resume and it's not just like an empty sheet of paper like, oh, I know how to use Premiere Pro, I know how to use Resolve. Like getting that experience working for peanuts at first and stuff. um I would say was the toughest part, because like at the beginning, like fresh out of college or university, like it was about putting in a lot of like long hours for not a lot of pay. And just knowing that like, okay, I'm learning here, and I'm working on my craft, I'm working on my skills. But I made a lot of connections along the way, made a lot of friends. So that's the cool part. You meet a lot of cool folks that have similar trajectories as you. They're in the business, they're also trying to do their thing and grow career wise. So that was definitely the positive. But at the same time, it's like just getting started, getting that initial like experience, getting kind of your foot in the doors, I would say, is like the toughest part.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. It's probably the toughest thing that you can do. And then uh along with that, it's like anything I write on my resume doesn't really matter. Like they're always like, let me see a reel, or
Yeah.
let me see your portfolio. And you don't get to build that on like a professional level if no one gives you a chance.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then so you're left on your self-produced or your schoolwork to kind of fill that void, and hopefully someone just gives you a chance, and then you can start building something real and something actually professional. And I think that was
Yeah.
probably the hardest thing for me to land, like any type of production job, was I didn't have like, I had to like really go out there, and I filmed a friend's wedding, or and I filmed their baby shower, and I covered a charity event, and all that was for free. And it was just to get my foot in the door, where someone was like, okay, you've worked under some pressure, let's give you a
Hmm.
chance. And that's how I
Yeah.
got my production job and everything.
Nice.
It's tough. I can agree that it's kind of tough.
Yeah, that just getting that initial gig like that, where you feel like, okay, I'm in a professional setting now. Like I would say that's probably the toughest part. But like, yeah, you gotta just sell yourself. You gotta just sell yourself and like keep going at it. I know it sucks. It really sucks in this day and age, like to say that to somebody that's up and coming. But it's like sometimes you got to do what you got to do, man. That, if your first gig ain't gonna be like the hottest shit, you got to work at it. You got to keep going.
Yeah, no. The way I see it is that if you can get a gig under your belt in general, it's good. Look at it, if you're like freelancing and you're doing that shit, look at it like an internship or something, look at it that way. You got the experience, you can put it on your resume, and then just make sure that you're able to use the work in your in your portfolio or your reel, because you don't want to end up doing all that work and then they don't agree to being put out there like that,
Yeah.
and then you're just kind of screwed and left in the dirt there.
Yeah.
But that's as much as I can say about that. Look at it as an internship, just do it. And unless it's something crazy, like you don't want to be like putting in 2 weeks of work on one project that you're not going to get paid for or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Pick and
it's
choose.
tough. It's tough nowadays, with because there's not as many like events and film showings and that sort of thing. But definitely networking is so helpful. Like, there's jobs out there. There's jobs out there that somebody who's like maybe not as qualified, doesn't feel that they're as qualified, that you can get. But you gotta know people. You gotta hear about stuff that's being filmed in your town, or projects and stuff. You just got to network. Like, if you're really into something, if you're really into film, or if you're really into music or whatever, you gotta go out there and rub elbows with people, because like sooner or later you're gonna hear about something, you're gonna hear about an opportunity, and you could just like present yourself and just try and go for it.
Exactly. And that uh brings up something that I had read or had seen earlier, where you can go and join these Facebook groups or Instagram, like friends and like groups and pages where they're constantly announcing like production in your city or in
Mhm.
your town, and they're looking for production assistants, extras, camera people. And it's even things where it's like, oh, you don't need any experience, if you want to come watch and see how it's done, they promote that as well. So really get out there, guys, and join those groups. Just look for any opportunity in your area, because guaranteed there's going to be a couple every
Yeah,
month.
yeah, definitely. Like, if you don't have the experience, okay, then maybe you don't get paid for the gig. You go for the free gigs, but they're out there. And yeah, the pandemic has made everybody have to pivot and adapt. So definitely those groups, check them out. They're here in Portland. I'm sure they have those groups down in Miami. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. Good point. And so I know that you're working for Refuge right now. Is there like a next step that you're going for? Do you see the position as long term, or are you thinking of staying in Portland long term as well?
I like it here. It's really nice. There's a lot of like out, forest, wilderness and stuff. It's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful city. Like, I would, anybody that's seeing this, I would say like check it out. At one point or another, um, it's beautiful out here. Do I see myself staying here? I'm not sure. Like, I kind of go where life takes me. If another offer comes up somewhere else, I don't know if I would take it. And for the moment, I'm really happy where I am. I really enjoy it. I like the people that I'm working for, because I'm learning a lot. Um, and yeah, yeah, like the next step up for me would be going into producing. There's the stories that I want to tell, stories that I'm currently writing, that I definitely want to see become something real. So that's definitely the next step up for me.
Nice. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, and I believe in you, man. I know you're gonna get there, and you're gonna,
Thank you, man.
you're a hard worker, and you're following your dreams, and you've always followed your dreams, and you've put yourself out there. So no doubt you're gonna get there.
Thank you, man.
Um,
I just
so
finished working too. I was like, that's yeah.
yeah, late day in the office,
Late
right?
day, man. Yeah, it's crunch time. It seems like every day is crunch time.
Every day it's crunch time, man. Every day something new has to come out. You gotta
Yeah.
get something done. Um, okay, so Portland, where you're living, boom, number one food to go, like number one go to food for you.
Old food here. I
Yeah,
mean, this town is really like vegetarian, vegan friendly. So it's not just like you go to a restaurant and like, oh, where's the veggie option? It's just like a salad. That's not the case here. Like, sometimes the best dish in the restaurant is like a vegetarian dish, and like not just because it's vegetarian, just because it's the best dish there. Um, So I really like. There's really good Ethiopian food here. Really good Ethiopian
Oh,
restaurants. Okay,
nice.
that in that injera stuff, like the spongy bread stuff. I love
Yeah.
it. Love it. And just like there's a lot of good like Lebanese Mediterranean food places. One place I love going to is Nicholas Restaurant. That place, oh my god, that place is the bomb. Like you could take me there any day, and I would fucking yes, I would love it. Yeah, yeah,
Perfect, because I'm gonna be traveling, soon, and I'm gonna need you to write me a list about, places to hit, because I'm a big foodie, and I love hitting like the top spots in an area. Even better if they're like holes in the wall, like no one knows about them. They're small, like that. I think those places produce like the best food.
yeah. And this town's all about like food carts. So there's a lot of good food carts, good food cart pods. So like, there's really, really good food here. Like that's something that's prompted me to stay here. I'm like, the food here is amazing. Like, there's a lot of diversity. So like that's awesome for me. Like, I love food too. So yeah.
I had a friend living up there until recently. You know him, Giancarlo,
Mhm.
and he was telling me that I gotta try curry pizza when I'm up there. So instead of tomato sauce, they use curry.
Oh wow.
And I don't know if you've tried that or can say
No,
anything on that.
no, I have not. I have not. But there's some good, like spots that sell curry, so I wouldn't doubt it. Like have no idea where he got that, but I'm gonna look it up now. Yeah.
Yeah, now see, now that's on your list.
All right.
Now you gotta
Yeah.
look that one up.
Yeah, it's on my list this weekend.
Yeah.
Curry pizza.
Okay, man. And do you what's in the works for you right now? Like what are you working on music wise with Wilkes Oswald? Any private projects or solo projects you're doing?
Yeah. So like I said, I want to, start producing my own things. I recently wrote a treatment for a movie that I want to get made one day. The film is set in Miami. It's like it's not really based on me. It's like it's a character that I thought up when I used to do like food delivery and like ride sharing and stuff for like Uber and Lyft. Like I just one day I was just driving and I was like, wow, wouldn't it be crazy if this happened? And then like this story kind of just stayed in my head for like 3 4 years, and I kind of just kept thinking of this story in my head, in my head, in my head. And then I was out drinking with a couple of buddies, and I told the story from beginning to end, and they're like, "Wow, like you really did have the whole movie in your head." I'm like, "Yeah, I did," and it's not just because I'm drunk. Like I really did have it in there. And they're like, "Okay, next time we meet, yeah, next time we meet, like you should have something on paper so we can read it." And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." So 3 weeks flew by, and it was like the day of that we were gonna hang out again, and I was like, "Shit, I gotta write this down," and like I just put it all on paper or like on a document, and so I got the treatment out, and it's still working on it. So I guess next step would be to like shop it around, see if anybody wants to work on it or get a set of eyes on it to like look it over, tell me what works, what doesn't. So yeah, hopefully that movie gets made one day.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I can't wait to see it, even hear about it.
Hmm.
Remember those times where I would get out of work delivering pizzas and I would bring like pizzas over. We'd have some malt liquor and eat some pizzas on the back of our cars. Those were the times, man. Those were good times.
Yeah, dude,
Now
those were
now
great times, man.
those were great times. And look at us now, man.
Look at us now on Zoom,
Adults.
adults,
On Zoom, dude.
adulting, not doing anything illegal, of course,
Yeah, no,
because
no.
where I live, everything is legal.
I know, man. I'm still stuck here. I'm on the straight and narrow, though. No, nothing on film. But
Nothing on film yet.
no, man. It's crazy how we grow as people, and it's crazy how we go from one job to the next, and eventually we're like, setting foot into our career path, and just from there, kind of just like it's set on what we want, what our goals are, and what we're moving towards. Because you could have asked me a long time ago, it's like, where do you see yourself working in? And my mindset was like, oh man, I make pizzas and I love pizzerias. And then eventually I really realized, what I did love and what I was passionate about. And at that time I was hopping around from one pizzeria, just regular jobs, and then you hit your career, and no, then it's no longer a job anymore. You know, it's this career. It's a path. It's a lifestyle that you've chosen. And do you remember a job that you've had that you were like, man, screw this job, I gotta make a change?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I used to work at like clothing stores, which is now like rest in peace, JCPenney, but not really rest in peace. Like you can go to hell, JCPenney. There was one time I was working like seasonal for a JCPenney, just trying to make ends meet because I was like I was living on my own since like a very young age, I would say. So I got to pay the bills, you know, I got to pay the rent. So I picked up another gig, seasonal gig, like I said, and I hated it. Like it sucked. Like no, not only was it like extra work, like I was working way more than full time at the time, because like these jobs don't fucking pay. It like I just did not like the management. I did not like the people working there. It sucked. It sucked through and through. And then one day I was working my shift and they told me something and I was like, this is the last straw. Like I'm literally just gonna walk out right now. And I think I posted it on like social media or something else. I'm just gonna walk out of my job. And like sure enough, like enough people bought into it and like liked it or commented on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, guys. And I just walked out. Like I just left. I just left. I was like, fuck this, dude. It's not worth the measly amount of money that they're giving me. So I just walked out. One manager called me like 2 days later, like, hey, haven't seen you around. Like, are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I quit. I quit. Like, you're not gonna see me around there anymore. And they're like, oh my God, did someone tell you something? Like, did something happen at work? I was like, no, I wasn't gonna tell them like y'all suck. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, personal things came up and I can't do this anymore. And that's when I was like, you know what? I can't like, I get it. You know, clothing stores were like my first gigs coming out of high school. Like that's, you know, I just wanted to work and have some money. But that's when I was like going to school and I'm like, you know, like I really need to I really need to do something that's better, like that's better for me, that's closer to my career. And this just ain't it. Like I'm not gonna be working at a retail store for my whole life. You know, like this is not for me. So I just up and left. So yeah, I know that feeling, guys. So like just gotta keep at it. Just yeah, just if you know what you want to do, even if you don't, like do the things that you want to do, do the things that make you happy, because like that's the work that you're gonna be fine with, like putting up with like shitty hours or bad pay. Like if you know that you're working towards your ultimate goal of whatever you want your career to be, like just start now. Like there's no better time than now to just get started on your career path. Like forget whatever job you have right now that's nowhere near what you want to be doing. Like it's not worth it really. Like your time is precious, you know, so you got to value yourself and your time. So like definitely like screw that job, whatever job it is that you hate right now, screw that job.
I agree. And oh my god, dude, I agree. Like retail is one of the worst things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And never will I ever go back to retail. Like I didn't like working in food either, but I'd rather go to food than retail. I can't handle it.
Dude, like yeah, I can fold my laundry in like 5 minutes flat, but that's like the only life skill I got out of that. The only life skill, dude.
Yeah, I remember working for Macy's, and I just couldn't, like it was so defeating, like mentally, to just clock in and have to deal with all that, and like leaving knowing that you've literally accomplished nothing. Like I didn't
Yeah.
make anything, you know, like on a physical level. I didn't make anything artistically or intellectually. It's like at least when I was making pizzas, like I had something to show for it. It was a pizza. There,
Mm-hmm.
it was so
Yeah.
mentally defeating.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I used to do like visuals, you know, like I used to do like window displays and like room displays and stuff. And like I would do it. I would make what I thought was like a beautiful display of, you know, clothes or whatever. And then like I come in the next day and it was just all over the place. Like it was just destroyed. And I'm like, it was so heartbreaking. I'm like, don't like, who's letting these customers in? Who's letting these people in? But that's, you know, they gotta sell the clothes, I guess. Whatever. Not for me, not for me.
Yeah, no, not for me either. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree. Work, even if it's, it's gonna justify if the job kind of has bad hours or the pay's not the best, but you know what you're working towards and you know that what you're doing you love, it justifies it a bit at least, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it you're putting forth that time towards something that you love and that eventually down the road it's gonna pay off because it will pay off eventually. You just got to put in your time and put in your
Hmm.
effort and your hours, and it'll eventually pay off.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and don't be a jerk. Like all those three things
Yeah.
together is
Yeah.
gonna pay off. It's gonna work out.
It's true. I mean, I was just talking with like one of my bosses today about that. How like he had heard about some supervisor that had gotten fired recently, and it was because he was a jerk. Like he was good at what he did, but he wasn't easy to work with. So
There you go.
you can be the best at whatever it is you do, but if you're not a team player, you don't know how to like be, like be around people and stuff, take criticism, like you're not really gonna go that far. Like yeah, you gotta take everything in stride, and like if someone criticizes your work, okay, that's just like it's not really an L if you take a lesson from it. So that's how I view life and careers and stuff.
Exactly, and I definitely agree. It's not a no. If you take constructive criticism and you learn from it and you grow on it, you're not taking the L. You're just growing. That's a fucking win.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
yeah, there's gonna be haters everywhere at every part of your life. Like, there's people that are professionals out there that are like, musicians with like 20 years experience, like the David Bowies and like the big bands and stuff that people still hate on just to hate on them. And it's like, okay, whatever, like brush them off and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Brush them off and keep going because that's all you can. That's all you can really do. You can't control what other people are gonna say or how other people feel. All you can do is control your reaction towards what they're saying or what they're feeling. And the best reaction is just to grow and keep moving and do you as best as you can. You know? Yeah, like everyone's gonna hate.
Yeah.
It's never gonna change.
Yeah.
Um Someone starting off in this industry now, and it's such a congested industry, right? And I remember my counselor actually when I was switching majors over from computer science because I ended up hating it and switching over to film production, and they were telling me, "Oh, are you sure it's such a congested job market? Are you sure you want to go into that?" And speaking to my now fiance, like we talked it out, and we just came to the conclusion that like I just got to work harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
But someone coming into this industry now, what what would you tell them are some good ways to just kind of make it?
To make it. I mean,
Not
first,
overnight either.
yeah,
Just
first and foremost, like make it is whatever it means to you, like don't compare yourself to others, or like definitely have aspirations, like have role models. That's cool. Definitely, like if you can find a mentor, that's also really good. Somebody who's sort of in the career or along the path that you want to follow, definitely gravitate towards those people. See if you can work for them. See if you can like hang around them and stuff. I feel like that's film, television, or music. It's definitely good to find folks that are already doing it, and because you learn what the day to day is like, and what the kind of work ethic that you need to follow, that you need to be, that they excuse me, that how it is that you need to be to get the sort of job that you want or career that you want. Because yeah, at the end of the day, like you got to be professional. Like you got to take criticism well. You got to be not a people person, but like you gotta know how to deal with people. That you're gonna meet all sorts of people that are gonna like not think you're fit for the position, or people that are gonna like question your experience, people that are gonna see like, what is this person doing here, and like whatever, like just learn to handle that. But someone is starting out, like I would say there's so many great avenues to show your work. Definitely take advantage of that, and yeah, definitely like use technology to your advantage. Like we live in a day and age where like technology kind of is all around us 24/7. Like use it. Don't let it be a distraction. Use it to your advantage. Um, like see how people are using it, and how people are getting, I wouldn't say popular, but like how people are making a name for themselves, whether it be through social media or through like YouTube or whatever. Like make sure it's working for you and that it's not just like taking time away from you. And just like put in the time. Just put in the time. It's like you're not gonna have all the answers right away. You're not gonna have all the skills right away. You're not gonna have all the experience, but with enough time, if you do things right from the get-go, if you try to learn how to do things right from the beginning, then it will eventually pan out. Like you will have the career that you want. That you can really kind of learn to do whatever it is you want to do on YouTube. There's tutorial videos on everything, for like every program, for anything. Like you want to be a chef, there's YouTube. You want to edit, there's YouTube. You want to be a musician, there's YouTube. Like just go on there, watch some stuff, try it, fail, suck at it some more, do it again, watch it. Still sucks, whatever, keep going, because eventually you're gonna get to a point where you're like, wow, this looks pretty good, or like you're gonna start picking up gigs. And believe it or not, like the coolest part about like a career in production is where you work for someone, you do a project with someone, and then like you won't hear from them for like some time, and then all of a sudden you just get like an email or a text like, hey, I got this like job lined up, or like we have this project, we need an editor, or we need this. And that feels real cool, because it's like they've thought about you. And really awesome like moment when you just get those like, you're still looking for work, but like work is starting to come your way. And I think that's like a really great part of like just networking and meeting folks here and there. And it's cool. Like I get calls and texts from people here in Portland, from people back in Miami that I've worked with years ago, that are still like, hey, I'm looking for this. Like, even if you can't help me, like, do you know somebody that can? And like, and it feels awesome that they have you in mind. They're like, yeah, this person is up for the job. So yeah, network, and like, don't piss people off, because you never know. They may help you out with that job or that gig that like might be the one, that sets you on your way.
Exactly. I definitely agree. Wise words, you know. Well, Enrique, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today. I want to thank the audience for tuning in and, giving us a chance to talk and really share some insight and experience, especially from Enrique. He's working in the industry. He has his music. Make sure to go ahead and check out Wilkes Oswald. You won't be disappointed. Their music's amazing, and I'm serious about that. Make sure to keep an eye out on any productions that have Enrique's name out there, and you also won't be disappointed. Do some Googling, figure out uh, figure out what he's working on. He can't tell us just yet,
I
but
probably can, but I'm like, just trying to, I don't know if I can. So I'm just, yeah,
he's
it'll
being
come up
safe.
eventually.
Yeah, he's being safe about it, but the internet works hard. So just go
Yeah.
ahead and do some Googling. And thanks for tuning
Yeah.
in. Make sure to give this podcast a like, a share, a comment. Help us against the algorithm on YouTube. Give us a follow, subscribe, do it all. Give it all some love. Like I said last time, you know, you watch or you don't, it's going to keep getting made. And I'm going to keep putting it out there because it's what I love to do. And I love talking with people and interacting, especially in this industry. And Enrique, thank you very much for joining us today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man. This is awesome. Like, yeah, I really love that you're doing this, and like, definitely keep at it. Like, this is great. And I feel like you're helping a lot of people out. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. No, thank you. Hey, take care, guys.